Well, like I tell people, this virus is not going away for 5 years. We have to learn to live with it. We have to learn to adapt and adjust and be able to change. And so with that, I know you could do that. And so I'll start this off with you because I love your earrings. Not only do I think you're beautiful, I love what you're wearing. I don't know what it is, but it reminds me of something that Joan Rivers would wear. But I love it.
Thank you. Leopard, right? Well, you know, I look at every show I do. It's just like if I were going on stage or into a TV studio in real life. I check my lighting, make sure my hair is right, my makeup's right, my clothes are coordinated, and my background. Now, I do change my backgrounds from time to time.
So with that, I'm going to have you introduce yourself. You're used to hosting. Tell me who you are. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I am Wendy Stuart Kaplan, and I am here for the first time today with Brian on Movie Reviews and More.
All right, so I love this. You have the fives. I love when a woman has 5 things, whether she's an actress, producer, director, writer, author, comedian. I look up to that highly. I think that's very, very important to have more of that when it comes to women. Talk about that aspect.
Okay, so yes, I have the fives. Okay, let's start with comedy, right? Comedy is one of the coolest things in the world to have as a woman because I tell you what, it's completely disarming. Somebody may see you and you may remind them of their ex-wife or you may remind them of someone they hated in high school, right? But you know what, Brian? If you can make them laugh, you can take down that wall immediately. And, you know, comedy, I also make documentary films that are very serious, but I work in very remote places, often in Africa, where I'm dealing, one of my films I did, Fragile Beauty, was about tribal people. Now, those people in that village were living traditionally as they had the last couple of 100 years. Body paint, adornment all over, all right? And I had heard, especially the Mercy tribe, those are the people with the clay plates, everyone said to me, you're crazy for going down there. Nobody's gonna like you. They're not gonna get you. You're not gonna be able to make any film or anything. Well, guess what happened? I went there, I smiled, they looked at me and they just started to laugh at me. And laughter is the best medicine because you know what? I used that comedy, whatever it was about me that was so funny, broke down that barrier. We broke down a cultural barrier. And there, you know, there we were as different as night and day. And yet at the end of the day, Brian, we were all laughing together. And that's what it's about. And I would say comedy is one of the big 5 that I use to get me through life, okay? Acting, that comes in handy too, doesn't it? All right, as an actress, right? I can play whatever role I need to play. And sometimes, like in the world, when you're meeting people, especially I do interviews and hosting, you have to be able to bring out the best in someone. And all of us, you know, sometimes you'll have somebody sitting there and you really can't get anything from them. They won't give you anything because that's the kind of person that they are. So you really have to figure out who the person is and then boom, 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 turn on that charm. Turn on that charm and make them want to talk about themselves. And that's a really good point where acting, you know, will come in so great for me. I love meeting people. I don't have to tell you. I tell you another category we should have, gregarious. Because I am gregarious and insatiable when it comes to curiosity. I am all about having fun, right? Fun, meeting people, being out there. Listen, I'm going to share a little secret with you. One of my little secrets is early on in the days of coming to New York, you know, I didn't know what to say or what to do. You know, you're kind of awkward and everything. And I have spent really a good portion of my life cultivating the gift of gab. So what is the gift of gab? The gift of gab is to be able to walk into a cocktail party with a bunch of people you don't know. And instead of feeling like, I want to run and hide, or, oh my God, you know, they think I'm not this, they think I'm not that. You walk in confident, and you have a roster of things to talk about. Now, I love telling you this. I used to read People magazine before I went to a cocktail party, right? Because People magazine had all this cool stuff in it about everybody, you know, celebrity gossip. Who doesn't want to gossip about celebrities? Who doesn't want to gossip about movie stars that are in films and talk about the films, how good they are, how bad they are, how the film made you feel? So I'm a great believer in using that kind of material to give yourself I call it it's your own personal script. It's the running script that you have in your head when you walk into a room, you know. Although I didn't have any script for you today. I was so excited about meeting you, and I watched some of your other shows, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's he going to ask me? So go ahead, ask
I don't
away.
know what I'm going to ask anybody. So it's like, and you know this, it's like a comedian going on stage. You may have some notes you may have, but you don't really know, because what happens if you get heckled? So I've been in those rooms, you know, one-on-one rooms with Robin Williams, where he, you know, we were in the radio roundtable rooms during a junket. His job was to make us laugh because we couldn't laugh because we needed to clean sound. And once he made us laugh, we started on interviews, but it was Robin Williams, you know, or Joan Rivers.
Right.
And I mean, you so remind me of Joan, and that's a compliment coming from me, because I really adored her. I kind of looked at her as a mom in a way.
Oh my gosh.
And the reason I say that, because when I would get together with her.
Thank you so much for saying that. I have number.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you just cut out there for a sec. Joan Rivers, of course, is definitely one of my comedic idols. It's so cool that you brought her up. And I have a number of friends that have worked with her. I mean, she was absolutely amazing. And you know what I loved about her? She's one of those people that I would say cut right to the chase. Okay, there was no fat left on that meat when she was done. She would just go right for it. And that's what made you laugh, right? Because she would call it like it was. And both her and Robin Williams, it's funny, Brian, that you bring both of them up, because both Joan Rivers and Robin Williams had that same, it's that gift of gab. They would start and then they wouldn't stop. I mean, think about Robin Williams or Joan Rivers, right? You'd be doubled over laughing. Robin Williams especially, he would get his crazy on and he would go on and on and on, and you would think, oh my God, how so fast. How does he think of these things? All right, but that's what reaches your audience. Once you get them laughing, you even said it. Once you start laughing, you're right there with them. You get on that magic carpet ride with them and you just fly.
I love to tell this Robin Williams stories. I remember during the Night Lister interview, I would always, you weren't supposed to do this. I would always bring, I like breaking the rules. I would always bring people who their lives might be on the line, they might be depressed, take them out of their bad situation, bring them into my worlds. I bring them to the Four Seasons of Beverly Hills. And I say, well, who do you want to meet? Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, Arnold's got a movie coming up. This is the date that I'm going to do it. I already have to save the date. How would you like to come with me? So I would do something like that. So I did this with Robin, and I remember, I'll never forget, I made Robin Williams cry because I asked him, what's your favorite charity? And why? It was Doctors Without Border. And I never forgot that. And then he goes, I'm sorry. I'm like, don't worry about it, because you would never see this. This is the time when Robin wasn't on, I touched the part that he had. I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't know. I always wanted to know whose favorite charity, people's favorite charities. Right. Next question. But the thing was, on that, when he died, Robin made me cry. And I never forgot. And I would always say, if I had Robin Williams' phone number or his email, I guarantee you that wouldn't have happened to what had happened to him.
Wow. I know. Isn't that something, to be able to touch somebody in that way? Because look at you, you're sharing that experience with me, and I love it. You're sharing it with everybody out there, because a lot of people don't know that, you know, to be able to reach down and touch that emotional chord. But you know, Brian, along those lines, this is what I tell people. I am able to cry easily. I can make people cry. I don't have a filter. And that's probably one of the best things I can say about myself. Because of that, I'm not afraid to take an emotional risk. Right, we walk around in our emotional armor out there, right? We don't want people to see who we really are. Certainly in the field of entertainment, you know, what are we taught? Never let them see you sweat. All right, so we're all taught that. But what I've learned is I have to get rid of a lot of that armor. I just say what I think, and someone tells me something, and I just take it in. You know, I just take it for what it is. And I've also learned to develop that skin that I show it's a thick skin. If someone gives me a negative comment or a negative review on something, listen, they're not really talking about me. Wendy Stuart Kaplan. You know, they're not talking about the essence of who I am. It's their opinion. And I think that that is a really important point to get across. What people say, those are people's opinions. When you read about these haters, God, you go on these blogs and on Facebook, on all the social media, and you read the things that people write about celebrities. And I often put myself in the shoes of those other celebrities and think, gosh, you know, if I read that, and then I stop myself and I say, if I read that, I would just know that is somebody else's issue. It's just words.
Talk about who was the first comedian that made you laugh and then you looked up to, and why?
Oh, that is really funny that you would ask me that, because it was Robin Williams and Jonathan Winters.
Jonathan Winters, yeah.
Yeah, but it was the two of them. Remember all the routines they used to do with each other? They used to do a routine together, and it was called Nantucket. And Robin Williams would say the word Nantucket, and then Jonathan Winters would repeat it like this, Nantucket. And Jonathan Winters would just go into like a fit and just start acting like completely crazy. But it was the ultimate in slapstick, right? Who is better at that than Robin Williams and Jonathan Winters? Because they were both, as comedians, we can talk about broad comedy. Broad comedians, physical comedians that drew you in by their, you know, their faces, their physicality. It was amazing, and that's what made you connect. You know, I connect to people often that are bigger than life. I like that. You know, there's no such thing for me as over the top. I love over the top. It's like, yes, I love what you're doing.
Well, over the top is good because you can always pull it back. What would you filmmakers, you, that director, would say? You can always just less is more, but you can't do it the other way, right?
Right. And that's funny you brought up the director thing, because auditioning for commercials, and I'm always better with the stuff I do myself, or if I'm given a script and somebody says to me, we want you to bring yourself really to it so you can play with the words, you can play with what we wrote here, because we're hiring you for what you do. But often as performers, you know, we're given a script, and sometimes, quote unquote, it's awfully dry. And they'll hire somebody that's funny to try and beef it up, but then they'll tie your hands behind your back and not use what it is that you're giving them. So what I've learned, and that's a good point, I've learned from early direction of being told, take it down, pull it back a little less. So I have to be able to suss out the director or even the writer, right? And just figure it out and figure out how I should approach the material. If they look like, you know, bring it down or a little less kind of people, I'll give them somewhat of a flat reading. Then I'll let them make the decision where they say, okay, we want a little more than that, more energy, bigger, brighter. And, you know, then it's them calling the shots. You understand what I'm saying? They have to call the shots.
You know, you still got me thinking about Jonathan Winters, because one of my favorite movies, I go with it, is It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Remember that movie?
Oh my God, that was such a great movie.
You mentioned him.
I remember the movie. I don't remember the aspects.
And that physical comedy.
Yes, and that's what you loved about it. What was your favorite Robin Williams movie?
Mrs. Doubtfire. And
I can't believe that was what I was going to say.
But the other one is What Dreams May Come, if you ever saw that, because me and Robin.
I never saw that one.
You should see that, because we related to that, and a lot of critics didn't get it. And Robin was so happy that I liked it, because certain people, they had mixed reactions, but I'm from that spirit world, like the colors in your background, those are my spiritual colors.
Tell me what.
I got that movie, you know.
What was it that you think that the critics didn't get? I'm curious from your perspective.
Well, it's about going inside of you and tapping that inner knowing, you know, the other side, what if? And this was something different for me. He hadn't done something from behind the scenes, the afterlife. You know, look where we are now. You know, anything is possible. Anything.
Oh, Brian, honey, we are in the afterlife now. My gosh, if this isn't the afterlife, I don't know what is. We're like in a science fiction film. You and I have been cast in a science fiction film, along with everybody else in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always looked at it this way. If Joan Rivers, Don Rickles, Buddy Hackett,
Oh yeah.
if all of them were alive, this is a field day, George Carlin for them. They would be having a field day with this stuff.
Yeah, they would. They absolutely would. I totally agree with you. So do you think so that brings me to my next thought. For me, this is going to sound crazy, Brian, but the pandemic really brought out the comedy in me. I started, let's see, they shut down New York March 12th. March 13th, it occurred to me that as a performer, every way that I had of earning a living, whether it was tape, stage, or modeling, went out the window. It all ended on that day. And I thought to myself, what are you going to do? And I was standing in my kitchen. All of a sudden, I had this brilliant idea. I'll start a cooking show. My husband is the one that does the documentaries with me. He's the shooter. So I had a shooter in the house, right? What could be better? We've got cameras. We've got lighting. He said, what kind of show? I said, a cooking show. Now, I'm going to tell you a little secret about me. Being a New Yorker, I don't cook. I had no interest in cooking. I dial for my dinner, and I live in a New York apartment with a tiny kitchen. My oven was filled with books, all right? I'm standing there and I said, Alan, I'm going to start a cooking show. And he said to me, Wendy, you're delusional. You don't cook. And I said, exactly. I don't cook, and everybody knows that. I have a lot of followers on social media, so what could be funnier than somebody that doesn't cook starting a cooking show? So I had ordered one of those, those meals from Fresh Direct that really come put together with a recipe.
Yeah.
So I thought, I can't mess this up, right? And, I did it like looking like just a regular girl in the kitchen, following these directions. And I made the Fresh Direct recipe. I think it was called spatchcock chicken. I didn't even know what that was. It's a chicken that's split down the middle. People that commented told me what it was. I thought it was like some kind of foreign dish, a spatchcock chicken, maybe Hungarian, right? It sounded like it could be Hungarian. And I made this chicken, and it came with the vegetables. Fresh Direct sent everything in the box, right? So I was talking about the potatoes it came with. Well, people commented in there, Wendy, those aren't potatoes, those are chestnuts. And from all of my mistakes, of course, the comedy grew. And that was my very, very first episode. And the rest is history. 61 episodes now, Brian. I started shooting that day. And then, of course, being the kind of person I am with no boundaries, I went into, now I can use my costumes. I can be different characters. One of the episodes that we did, we can't go anywhere. We are sequestered in this country right now. So I came up with not a flight attendant, a stewardess. Pandemic Pam, who's the stewardess on Pandemic Airlines. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we can take you anywhere that you want to go without ever leaving the ground because it's all virtual. And I had a really cheesy flight attendant outfit that I picked up at the party store like the day after Halloween on sale. And I thought to myself, I have closets full of costumes, hair pieces, the whole 9 yards, and I can decorate any kind of background, all in my little kitchen in New York. And you know what? The rest is history. So that's how Pandemic Cooking with Wendy was born. 61 episodes now. And as they loosened restrictions, my last few episodes, I actually have gone out to cook with people. I have one of those face shields, the whole shield that you can put around. And I have one for whoever I'm cooking with. We're probably 4 feet apart, not 6 feet, but 4 feet apart when we're cooking. But it's been very well received, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think that it's a wonderful opportunity to get out there and get into other people's kitchens. So yeah, here we go. The rest is history.
So are you? That's good to hear. Pandemic Pam. I really like that. That's a great one.
Well, that's the flight attendant, but the show, it's on YouTube. It's called Pandemic Cooking with Wendy. Now, here's what's so funny about it, though. Some people took it really seriously. There's a lot of people out there that are serious cooks, and I have a number of friends that have even had, small contracts on shows. I had somebody, very well-known person, who said to me, Wendy, listen, you're a very funny girl, but why would you call your cooking show Pandemic Cooking? that's going to be a big turnoff to people. And I got back to him and I said, listen, have you watched it? I said, the show is about, I actually do, Brian, make real recipes on there now, you know? And I won't tell you about my upcoming episode, but I make actual things that you can make in your kitchen that are not super costly, that don't take a ton of time, that are tasty. You know, Pandemic Pam made airplane food. You know how on the airplane they serve you in a little plastic dish with the aluminum foil?
Which they're not giving you right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, right. So I made it like that in the little container. I put the aluminum foil on it. I think it was some kind of chicken with a macaroni salad. But the whole idea is these are actual recipes. They're fun. The show is fun because, you know, I don't use measuring cups. I don't even have the right utensils. People write in and they're like, you don't have this, you don't have that. That's the whole gist behind it. I don't have the right stuff. And yet I can turn out a really good recipe. And I actually have, and people are entertained. So the person that said, Wendy, you know, no one's going to watch a cooking show with pandemic cooking. Of course they'll watch it. It's ridiculous. We're in a pandemic. The nicest things, Brian, that have happened from the show, I told you, you know, being able to make people laugh, right? There were so many people that were sick in New York that tuned in to watch my show. They watched the episodes because they were feeling really bad and I made them laugh. And that is probably, if you were to tell me like what's the best thing that came from the show, it would be that, making people laugh like that, you know? And onward and upward, you know, that's what I'm about.
Well, it's about, like I said, you've got to be able to adapt, which is what you've done. You got to be able to adjust and change, which is also what you've done. It's a great thing. There's nothing that you can say is a bad thing. It's all about creating. Mother Earth just gave everybody a timeout. Either you were on it. If you weren't on it, it gave you a chance to try to catch up. If you didn't get the message, your life depends on it. And so does it.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, and it's about the message. That's what Mother Earth was. Listen, you know, I was talking about this with someone I met for lunch today. Well, we know how this whole thing came down, right? But you have to admit, it's a little bizarre that like in our lifetime, Brian, like all the things that we've ever thought about. And, you know, right before this, right, remember we were like getting rid of plastic bags. We were being good to the earth. We were becoming, you know, aware of quote unquote our planet. Did anyone tell us this was coming down the pike? And it was.
I did. Yes. October 3rd of 2018, I started saying it. I just didn't know the virus.
You're kidding. I have to hear this. Tell me what happened. Did you have an epiphany?
Everybody that knows me knows I've been saying this since October 3rd of 2018.
Wow.
That's why our Dreamweaver Artist Ranch is very, very important. That's why, you know, one of our sponsors, the restroom kit, you know, you take this with you, you know, how you go to the porta potties or things like this. This is your own protection because no matter where you go, now it's for first responders. I had my hand sanitizer, the Lipto hand sanitizer, which is the Lipto. Women love it for the last 4 years. It's the only one in the world that says it kills 99.99% of germs. I've had them for 4 years. If you go look at any of my posts or any of my shows, you'll see I have them in there. I've had them on.
So these were your products all along, but what happened to you in 2018? Like, how did you know this?
I saw all this stuff coming. I told people when film festival, I said 2 years ago, film festivals are dead. Look where they are. They are dead. How do you virtual film festival? It's not the same. Even Sundance is not sure what they want to do. And I helped run Hollywood Film Festival.
Right. It's so amazing to me that you saw this coming. Now, I need to know. A big thing for me during this, you know, because I've been working and creating and I'm doing other shows even beyond what I told you. I have very little time to watch anything. You know how everyone is sequestered watching Netflix and all of it. I don't have a lot of time, but I did watch one show in the very beginning of this, and it was like March 14th. The show I watched was Pandemic. It was on Netflix, and it was a documentary. Yeah. Now, it was not, if that show wasn't finished, I think it finished, 6 months before, you know, everything hit the fan. Why wasn't that show publicized everywhere? Why did we not know it? Why did I have to just find it on Netflix?
We've always had the warnings. Remember the commercial back in the 70s when the Indian would cry when we were littering? People would throw.
Yeah, it was one tear. I can't believe you brought that up. I remember that.
Okay, so when it comes to that and pollution and litter, we've had these signs for decades. This just didn't start yesterday or last year. We've had
Of course.
go back and watch Outbreak. I dare you to go back and watch Outbreak, which is on Netflix now. That was in 1998, before 9/11. That movie still holds up. You've got 4 Academy Award winners in it. Morgan Freeman. You got Rene Russo, who's won an or
Rene Russo was in that film, yeah.
Dustin Hoffman's in it. I forgot the other person. Cuba Gooding Jr. is in it. Donald Sutherland.
Right, great actor.
It still holds up. Remember the coughing scene in the movie theater? Guess what's not happening? Movie theaters. Because if you sing, laugh, sneeze, whatever in the theater, it's airborne now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It didn't just start. The Chinese have been wearing masks going back to 2006.
No, the thing about the mask, because I had a modeling gig over in China. I was there for like 9 days. And when I got there, the thing was everybody had masks on, and they kept asking me, are you okay? And I didn't have a mask on. Okay, this was 2 years ago. And I said, yeah, I'm fine. Why would I want to wear a mask? And they're like, the air doesn't bother you. So I finally said, why is everybody wearing masks? And they said, oh, it's the pollution. But I remember thinking, yeah, there's something else was going on. They knew something else was going on, something else.
Here's what I've told everybody. And this was sent to me. I'm like the messenger. So it went from animal to animal, animal to human, human to human, human to airborne. That's where we are right now. So,
gosh, you are, yeah.
You as a comedian, I would be on you. If you have a porch, I'd be on your porch telling jokes. I would have everybody Venmo you or PayPal you, donating $1 to go to help your favorite charities. You telling your comedy for 5 minutes, the same time every day if you had to. You know how many people would chime into you? That's just you as the comedian. And as the
yes,
I would have your husband out there recording stuff. Just put your thing out there, record, because this is how you make those films as that independent. Because guess who's being heard? The independent filmmaker, right? You are that filmmaker. You are that actress.
Well, here's the thing. I actually make the films, right? And I do these documentaries in remote parts of the world. So Whispers and Witnesses, which won the best documentary at the Chelsea Film Festival, that film was made in Cameroon, and that was over 2 years ago. They had, when I was there shooting, malaria, typhoid, all there. And we were taking malaria pills, but the female mosquito was resistant to the malaria pill we were taking. So I was dealing with that, right? I love going to those parts of the world to make films. I like making films about, I don't know, the edges of things, so to speak. So I had planned, and this is, I guess, I'm fortuitous too, as you are. We can see into the future a little bit, because last year I was thinking about going to Africa and I had another film in mind, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to stay stateside. I want to tell a story about the working and therapy dogs. Now, they deserve to have their dogs day in the sun, as they say. I want to raise awareness as to what working and therapy dogs do. Great subject. We've shot the film. We spent over a year doing it, and it was nice and safe. It was here in New York. But the whole time, Brian, I kept thinking, what's making me want to do a film in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania? I love being out there in the bush. I love being in very foreign places where everything's super different. But now I know why I must have known something was coming as well. But unlike you, see, you knew what it was. What? You did.
But you also have what is women's intuition. I have intuitive knowing. It's the same thing. We just have to tap into it. We all have the ability, but not a lot of people listen. You ever hear the head in your, the voice in your head would say, you should go left, but you go right, and then you get into an accident? Oh my God, someone told me
totally.
I went right. That's where we are. You have to be able to adjust, to adapt, be able to reflect on things, and be able to open to change.
Open to change, and you have to listen to that inner voice. So you called it women's intuition, but you're a man and you have that intuition. So it's not just for women.
I call it intuitive intuition.
Intuitive intuition. So with that being said, and we talked about film festivals, and I agree with you. I work with the African Film Festival, which is out of Dallas. They did a phenomenal job with filmmakers all over Africa putting their films up this year. I've always been a spokesperson, and I've done interviews with the filmmakers. I go to Dallas. They fly in from all over Africa. Nobody could do that this year. And the person who runs it, Kelechi Ike, he's Nigerian, and I have a special place in my heart for Nigeria because I went to school in a village called Ife. I love Nigeria. He produced the whole entire festival online, including the panels and everything else. So I have to tell you how impressed I was. To your point, it's not the same for us, you know, because we all go and network at these film festivals. I go to every single party. I don't have to tell you, I'm the party girl. I love it. I love meeting the filmmakers, hearing what they're doing, why they do it, getting their perspective. So when you're putting a film festival online, you don't get that. You're not going to get that. Let's face it, Zoom cannot recreate that. So what do you think our future is with film festivals? Are we ever going to be able to gather again?
Yes, but in a different way. Everything has to be done outside from now on. Everything. And the reason why I said this thing, I learned from helping to run the Hollywood Film Festival in 2015. We brought the Chinese over. We had them at our festival at the ArcLight in Hollywood, California. I picked, myself and 6 other people. We actually ended up picking our good films. We picked some really good films. So I know it's like, no, as that filmmaker, I'm not a filmmaker, I'm not an actor. I'm that voice actor and I'm that movie whore. So with that, I want to see your documentary. I've seen one. I want to see anything else you have because I can put it into other film festivals in a different way. First of all. Second of all,
my gosh.
Picking those films, I've always watched from beginning to end. I've never done the 10-minute rule. I don't believe in that. That's me. I grew up working in a video store where I had to pick the films, and you could be at the end of a scene, and you might be the one person who's the star in that movie at the end of the scene, at the end of the movie. So I always wanted to give that filmmaker that due, whether the film was good or bad. I've only walked out of 3 movies in my entire life. You know, the last one I remember was Super Mario Brothers because I had to run. I was backing out. I'm like, when's this movie gonna end? Because I had to go to another screening. At the end,
that's so funny.
But I'm suffering, but I stay to the end because I might not like the film, but there's other people that may like it in a different way. That's why I do that.
I love that you stay to the end, though, because especially with film festivals, you always have to think of the criteria. Like when we send a film in, when I send a film in, and you know, and it was a film that's won awards, and then it gets rejected by like a really small festival or something, I often say to myself, did anyone even watch it? I sometimes think that.
Well, I can tell you, no, they did not watch it because it's hard to watch everything. Now, the reason why I've been keeping track of all that I've been watching since 1992, because in 1991, I watched a whole lot of movies, but I can't tell you what the number was. From 1992 right up until this year, I can tell you exactly how many I watched. Exactly. I break them down a month. I should be watching between 701 to 714 the most.
Wow.
On home video. The reason why I can give you that number, because I've been doing it for years. I should be seeing 23 to 26 movies, I call it on the big screen, in the theater. But since we can't go to the theater, I think I saw 16 movies. That's it. Because the month of January is all award season now, as you know. So you're busy.
I know.
Season. So you got to catch up on screening. So for me, there's no break. So I'm still watching all the links. So I was that one person that watched the films on 2 different laptops. That's how I was watching films at the same time. I'm this good, Wendy. That's how I watch movies. And I watch them from the beginning to the end, still to this day. No one else does that in the world.
And no one else does that in the world. I love you for saying that. Every actor out there, every filmmaker out there right now, everyone's blowing you kisses. Do you know that? Can you feel it? Well,
when I would interview the filmmakers, they were surprised that I could tell them the ending of their films because no one else was watching. Sundance, with all the submissions you get, 10 minutes of the film. Have you ever been to a movie? I'm sure you have. And the first 10 minutes suck, and then it gets better after that. Sometimes you have to give a movie a chance. Sometimes
I agree.
It starts to get better. It's just how it happens.
Right, but you got to give it a chance. I'm like you. What sign are you? We're similar in that. I give it a chance.
I'm a determined.
What are you?
Yeah. So the people who were born on my day, Alan Lane, Olivia Newton-John, And then, so the day before that is Will Smith, Barbara Walters, Michael Douglas, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Will Smith. We're all called the 925 Club. We celebrate our birthdays. Well, we used to celebrate our birthdays together.
925. Wow. All right, I'm a Capricorn.
But when we get together, we would have a toast.
I'm at January 15th.
See, you're determined. You're a go-getter.
You froze there for a second.
I said, yeah, you're determined. And
yeah, January 15th. Oh, Brian, I'm a force. Yeah, I have like rock hard determination and honest. Did you get to look at my book at all? She's the Last Model Standing.
No, I knew of it, but I didn't know you then. I didn't know how to get it.
That book, you know, it's a memoir about my life, but actually, by the time I was done writing it, it's like my life as a determined force that nothing is going to stop me, because you know, all the chapters have been about my experiences and turning lemons into lemonade 3/4 of the time, coming to New York from the Bronx, you know, as a kid with $800 in my pocket, and turning all of that into the world that I've built now. So of course there's a gazillion stories connected to it, but somebody pointed that out to me. They said, my God, Wendy, your determination and the most horrific things could happen to you, but yet you would turn out smelling like a rose every time. And I point to the book because I've used that book for many people as an inspiration. You know, people, even like I told you with the pandemic cooking show, they were like, you just inspire me that there is hope, that there is a sunny day tomorrow. And I think if you ask me in my life, what do I want to get across? What do I want to communicate? That's what I want to leave people with at the end of the day. You know, that the roses are out there. Listen, to me, in my history, this is like the worst thing. I cannot even wrap my head around it. And even within that, I try and spread joy every single day to people, because if I can do that, then I feel it myself too. There you go.
Well, Wendy, believe it or not, this has been the best time for a lot of people. It's hard to say that, but really, everybody was giving a fresh start to create something new. Like I said, Planet Earth gave everybody a timeout. Either you saw it coming. If you didn't see it coming, it was a chance for you. Oh, I wanted to clean out the garage. Oh, maybe I'll take up painting. Oh, I get a chance to read this book. For the gamers, it was a gamer's holiday. They were looking for something like this, because all they do anyhow, play games 24/7. All they do is just have Red Bull and play a game. Right. But they didn't put this information. They didn't think they were going to get it stuck home with the family as they were playing games. They didn't work out quite that well. Because if you had kids,
right, that's where it went there, right? And having a school kids at home and everything, yeah, that wasn't part of the equation. But let's look at that flip side now. It gave people more time with their families. You know, so many people have been able to work from home during this, okay? So they could do their work, spend more time with their families. And for those of us that are like super creative, where it just oozes out of us, it gave us a chance to start to invent things. I mean, this has been a renaissance for me. It is really unbelievable. I always did shows in clubs and things. Now I'm doing those same shows online. And instead of having my Venmo, you know, instead of being tipped to my Venmo, I have an organization I help start called Triversity. It's an LGBTQ organization.
Yeah,
we service the tri-state area. We have all kinds of great programs. So you know what, Brian? I put that in my Venmo. So how cool is that? But you know, that's where people are sending the money if they like what I do. So I've always been super philanthropic. A wonderful opportunity now to really start to spread that around. And for any of us, for whatever organization you're into, you can get that, you know, you can get that out there. People can donate to that. And it's brought the global world actually smaller. It's made us all smaller. I've been on podcasts and things in the UK, in Europe. I mean, come on, that wasn't anything that would have happened last year. All right, this pandemic has just rocked our worlds.
You know, I tell people this, in the last 11 weeks, this is week 11 for me, I've done 122 shows, 2, 3, 5 a day. I'm on 70,000 plus interviews since 1982. I've reached 1 million views and still counting on my YouTube. I'm 3.7 million views just out of Tennessee alone. I quadrupled what I was doing because remember, I was preparing for this. I just didn't know the name of the virus. I knew it was going to come down to this, so I wanted to do everything, you know?
Well, so tell me what I can expect next year. I want to know what's going to be happening in the world of entertainment. Where are we all going to be? Are they going to find a vaccine? How are we going to be living our pandemic lives?
There's no vaccine coming until mid next year, the earliest. It takes time to develop it the right way. You've got to also, who do you test it on? It takes time to do all this stuff. This stuff just doesn't happen overnight. It just doesn't.
Right.
You know, we still haven't cured cancer, have we? We've learned to live with it, right? So how are these kids?
Yeah, you're right.
How are these kids going to go back to school? You know, this is the easiest way to do, you know, to catch something. That's why the restroom kit is good, or the hand sanitizer, Ellipto. The only one in the world that says it kills 99.99% of germs. Not Purex, it's got chemicals in it. The stuff that the test stuff.
And I can get that hand sanitizer from you, right? I can go to you give the site on Facebook.
Yeah,
you have the site I can go to.
Ellipto.com. My friend Tim O'Connor, he's the founder of it out of Australia. It's the best. Women love it. So the technology and the products that I choose, they become my sponsors. Guess what you have?
I love it.
You have to go get your own sponsors, right? Because people can't get to the studio per se.
Yeah, but that would be an easy time to get sponsors from what you're saying.
Well, remember,
people are looking to get their product out there.
Well, remember, I started
I'm available.
in 2018. That's why. Exactly.
Right. Well, I'm available for the right products. I'm available. I'm a good spokesperson, Brian. You know that.
I do know that. I do know. So now I got a lot of people calling. It's very interesting. And I was like, well, where were you a year ago?
It's great.
Now you're in desperate, dire straits, you know?
Well, yeah. As we say, the tables have flipped. They have flipped. Well, I want you to get my book because I tell so many fun stories in there. Have you ever been to Studio 54? Did you ever go to Studio 54?
That was my next question to you because I was disc jockey in Connecticut then. So imagine this. I was a black disc jockey in the all-white clubs where they wouldn't let minorities in. So I was the only one. So I went to go to Studio 54. I was going to go twice. And I'm like, why am I going to go? I'm not going to get in because I'm not anybody known at that point. And they wouldn't care about a Connecticut disc jockey. So that's the only reason I didn't go. But I was in town, but I just never went over there. I didn't want to be, you can come and you can come in. I didn't like that.
I talk about that a lot because that's exactly what I went through till I figured out, what costume to wear. And in my case, it was a dancer's outfit, a ballet tutu with a pink leotard, pink leg warmers, and pink ballet slippers from Capezio. That got me in, and the rest is history. That was my, that kind of costume or really sequins and big hair always worked. But one of the coolest things about Studio 54 that I wish we had this now because, like you said, no one cared about you being a disc jockey from Connecticut. Nobody cared about me being Wendy Stuart. I wasn't a Kaplan then, Wendy Stuart from the Bronx. They didn't care, And the thing about Studio 54, if you got yourself in there, you could be anything that you wanted to be. You could make magic happen because it was totally about illusion. And if you have the ability to, rub shoulders with, people that are living that life that you aspire to, that dream that you want to live, it makes it a lot easier if those people are there. And as said piece, it was a playground for everybody. Things are so polarized now, but back then it wasn't. And I love telling people this story. I was in the balcony with a bunch of my friends one night, and they brought on this new singer, and she was only going to do one number. They would bring people like Grace Jones who would do one number, who people would go crazy about. But this was a new girl in town, and she sang this really tired pop song, and we were all up there in the balcony, and my friend said to me, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Oh, she's really tired. She's not going anywhere." It was Madonna.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And the song was borderline.
Well, here's the thing. I played the song Everybody in Connecticut. You know what I spent my,
Oh yeah.
so Everybody was a 12-inch label. We didn't know who it was. I just knew it was a hit. Now, I'm not a Madonna fan. I like her personally, but I like 3 songs that she's done. I'm just not into Madonna. But as that disc jockey, these are hit songs. It didn't matter who she was. These were hit songs. And that was interesting at that aspect of things, you know?
Right. So you had to play them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Every week.
but you know what? You knew it, right?
Well, every week I would spend $90 on albums. That's where my money went, to buy the latest albums coming out of New York and Connecticut. Every week.
So that you would know what was hot and what wasn't.
I was making my own 8-track. Remember 8-track cassette, cassettes? I was making my own 8-track.
Of course, I got this big honking 8-track cassette.
I was making my own 8-tracks, and I was working at the Coast Guard Academy. We were the first civilians to work there, so over the loudspeaker in the mess hall, I would play my songs to all of the workers because we worked in tuxedos. That's what our uniform was.
At the Coast Guard Academy?
Yeah, we were the first civilians to work there.
Wow.
I think minimum wage was $1.90. We were making $7.50 an hour.
Get out.
That was the first job I had. I was there for years. $7.50 an hour.
Wow.
I'd be roller skating. I'd go out all night. I'd have to be at work at 4:30, Saturday, Sunday mornings. I'd be out roller skating until like 2 in the morning, go home, sleep for like 45 minutes and get up and go back to like New London.
Well, we should have known each other then because my schedule was pretty much the same thing. Not roller skating, but I'd be at Studio 54 till 4 o'clock in the morning, go home, shower, have maybe 1 hour of sleep, get up and go to my first modeling job that day. I used to be able to go 2 days without sleep. Now I can only do 1 day. Oh, well.
Yeah, see, I'm boring. I need to have sleep because I'm an early riser. So I'm watching MSNBC at your time. It's at 6 in the morning, your time. It is 3 o'clock my time.
Oh, yeah. You are really an early riser.
Well,
Why
yeah,
do you get up so early?
because I have a lot of stuff to get done. Like I said,
You do.
5.6 million views a day and counting. It didn't get there by me not doing stuff, right?
I talk about determination. I love your determination. That's great. And that, you know what, that's an inspiration for me too.
But the thing about it is that other people get to share in it. That's why it's called Movie Reviews and More. It's not called Brian Sebastian. I have 13 co-hosts. 2 of them were going to be here today. One of them ended up getting a job and the other one had another interview. So else they were going to be on with you.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm sorry I didn't get to meet them. Wait, one of them is Sherry, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, she's great. Yeah, she's just adorable. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't be here with Sherry. We both have chihuahuas, you know. She has a chihuahua.
Well, the good thing is that I'm going to have you back on. So me, you, and Sherry, and then Jessica out of Tennessee, we can talk to you again. You're not one and done. Who do you think you are?
Oh, I never thought that. I would love, you know what, Brian? I would love to be back on. This is great. I've had the best time with you today.
All right, we got
a lot of stuff to talk about. We have to solve the problems of the world.
Well, that's what I'm doing. That's where the Dreamweaver Artist Ranch comes in, with our 65 tiny houses, our 30 that we're building stuff on, sustainability, environmentally friendly. That's what I care about, those technology and saving those small businesses.
I just started reading about tiny houses. Tell me what you're doing with tiny houses.
Well,
why do you think they're important?
People are losing their houses. We have 500 square feet, 850 and 950. And the reason why we chose 3 different types, because we can only have so many people on a property. So we were going to have 300 at one point. Now it's down to 200. And what it is, it's spread out over 36 acres. Out of the 300 acres or the 800 acres, depending which property we choose, we wanted to leave the rest of it because we need trees. We need trees, we need bees. So the thing there's a lot of great technology that just is not, that the U.S. doesn't have. We've fallen behind, unfortunately. You've been to China, seen all the stuff that they've had. We don't have that in the U.S. So I've got a lot of companies that have come on board that love the stuff that we're doing. So even on our Facebook account, you'll see the Dreamweaver Artist Ranch. This is where people can come, be those independent artists.
So, okay, send me the link for that so I can like you on Facebook. Yeah, I definitely want to see that. The small house movement is something that totally interests me. And
Well, the thing
everything
about it
about
is,
them being sustainable is also the way to go.
but the thing about that's even more important, it's got to be in the right location. Like, you don't want to have your tiny house in Louisiana because the levees are broke. You can't correct that, due to climate change. So for us, we're high enough up. It's a Mediterranean type city. Because of Chinese smog, we don't have to worry about the smog on our property because we're high enough up above sea level, but not too high for altitude sickness. So when we have all of our gatherings there with social distancing, because like I said, everything has to be outside now. That's how it is. And then we're on 10 acres of land, we're planting our own food. It's never been contaminated. The soil is fertile. There's never been any fracking. That's important. And we have plenty of water on
Yes.
the ground.
Right. Well, it has to be available. So where is the location for this? Are you allowed to say?
In the Mount Shasta area in Northern California.
It's safe there. You feel that that's a
Absolutely.
safe area.
That's why we chose it, because built on granite, the San Andreas Fault is on the other side, so earthquakes don't affect us.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask about that. So that fault, because I immediately when you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's on the fault.
Wendy, I'm going to invite you. You'll be performing there with Sinbad. I got a plan for you.
Oh, I love Sinbad.
Sinbad's
would be
part
great.
of what we do because he loves technology.
That is so cool. And now I'm a person that likes technology too. I have to tell you, I just completely rose to the occasion and took to it like a duck to water.
Good for you. My hat goes off to you. So give your social links and give your book, the name of your book, for the people who have not read it yet.
Okay, so here we go. On Facebook, I'm Wendy Stuart. On Facebook, you can find my films under Visual Journeys or Stories. On Facebook, you can read about my book called She's the Last Model Standing, and you can order my book, She's the Last Model Standing, on Amazon. On YouTube, you can read about me and see my show under Wendy Stuart TV, which is Pandemic Cooking with Wendy. 61 episodes and more coming every day. Then you can go over to Instagram. Oh my gosh, this is a lot of links. You can go over to Instagram to She's the Last Model Standing and connect with me there. And I'm also on Twitter under She's the Last Model Standing. Standing is STANG. Whoa, that's a lot of links.
But it's important because you're going to have a whole new fan base of stuff. So congratulations with that.
Totally.
The hat goes off
to thank you.
What you've done, because as that actress.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
Well, the pleasure is mine to meet you, because as that actress, producer, comedian, model, director, all of that is important. Is about creating things and women empowerment, right?
Right. It is all about women and empowerment. And the other thing about women empowerment that I know you get, women have to empower other women. We have to do that. That's the name of the game. So one thing I like to do before I leave on Zoom, can I take your picture?
Of course.
Oh, okay. I love doing that. I'm like a Zoom photographer. Hold on. There you are. There I am. Let me try and get a view where we're both big. No, I just took myself off. Okay. I'm little. You're big. Let me just get this. Oh, that is really cool. Okay.
And give you charity one last time.
Thank you. Couldn't hear that. What was that? It cut out.
Give you charity one last time.
It cut out again. I just heard one last time.
Oh, what's your favorite charity?
Oh, my favorite charity? Right now, it's the organization that I have found because of the programs that we put together for people, Triversity.org, TRIVERSITY.org, it's in the Northeast here, and we're small, and the big charities can all pull in big money. I'm the kind of person that I want to get the names of the small charities out there. Can I give two more?
Go ahead.
Okay, my film that I made with my husband in Africa, Whispers and Witnesses, about rescuing primates in Cameroon. The money from that film was to raise money for these charities, the ones I'm going to name. Ape Action Africa, you can find them online, Ape Action Africa. And then the other one for chimpanzees is Sanaga Young Center. It's sanagayoungcenter.org. They take care of 64 chimpanzees. Ape Action Africa takes care of over 350 primates. They're both, Brian, you would love this. They're both run by women. And women are, two different women. And life is tough over there, and they're really saving primates. So let's cheer it for the ladies today. That's right.
Well, if it weren't for Jane Goodall, where would we be without not saving the primates, right?
Thank you so much. She was the one that did it. And again, we talked about inspiration. She inspired, and you have people out there doing it, just like you and I are going to do it. Thank you so much for today, really.
Hey, well,
you be safe.
Thank you.